Should your manager check whether you did your job or whether you can actually do your job and provide the stuff for that? It's not a straightforward answer, but I think you'll know which side I will lean. Hello, I'm Tom. Welcome to my channel. We'll talk about continuous improvement in an industrial setting. And today's video, it's about sort of a management style. And the main thing in here is supportive management. It's not even really a buzzword anymore. It's been around for years. The whole idea that as a manager, you need to support the people below you in the hierarchy, make sure that other departments and especially the actual operational production people can do their job in a good and effective way. But how do you go about that? And what is then the role of the manager? How can we as CI people support managers in getting that role correct? And also, there's quite a bunch of managers in an organization, right? And it's not only the hierarchy that should act like this, it also demands things from the management team and managers in different departments of your company. So, when we look at the base question, how do we want our managers to behave? Should the question be almost a policing type of do this, or in the question, did you do this? But really check on execution of work and see if everyone is behaving and working like they should be. Or should we be more in a setting where we ask, what is happening? Do you have all the tools and knowledge and all the stuff that you need to be able to do your job? And when you look at LinkedIn, this is about 100 to 120% of the answers, right? I'm probably not even going far enough in supporting the workforce. But I do think that we should not forget that actually, sort of policing, it's not a nice word, but checking that things are done is an inherent part of managing as well. I'll give you an example so that you will immediately understand that we are doing this and we're also asking this from people. And that is, when we check most KPIs, we're also checking that things have been done as agreed. Right? So that already by itself is an important part of how you manage. You check the result of work, you check if work was actually done, you also check if people come in on time. Stuff like that is very common in an industrial environment. And we're not talking just about the CEO here. If you have a team leader, a shift supervisor, we do expect them to do also quite a bit of police-like checking. Is everyone here? Is everyone working, not taking breaks that are way too long? And this may be an old style of management, but I'm convinced that this is still part of managing. Maybe you have to change the tone at which you do it, but there is a big intrinsic part of the management, sort of also the expectation as well. So I would have the expectation that my manager also does some of the checks. And it might sound strange, but it is sort of, if nobody is checking you, it is pure self-discipline that keeps you fully in line. And now, of course, especially as a freelancer, I have it, but we have it. But still, go also and search your own feelings that it is nice that from time to time you are checked. If you ride the train, you bought a ticket and everything like that, it is nice to sometimes have the conductor come by and check you, just to know, okay, I bought it because somebody is checking it. Of course, I bought it to get the service, but that feeling, that is definitely there. And some people have it a lot more than others. So the actual checking, important part. But then we also get to, yes, of course, we want our managers to enable other people in the organization to really do their work effectively, according to the correct standards, in a way that generates results. And also making sure that they're removing obstacles that an operator or a technician or a shop floor level manager, supervisors, those people cannot really solve by themselves. We need to understand that generally an operator cannot really change company procedures. So we might be very far with autonomous management and have a very good Kaizen culture in the company, and they can actually change work standards, but this is pretty rare. You are quite far in Kaizen culture if you really have operators changing the way that they work. But as soon as it comes slightly outside of their own machines, very little chance. ID boxes, yes. Something to say, yes. But really changing it requires almost always somebody else who has the official authority to change that part of the organization, to change those protocols, those ways of working, those stock levels, whatever. Right? So that is an important part of management. Now, how do you do that? And the ideal way I think we can combine this is to really put attention to process confirmation, which is part of our control loop, right? You hear me talking quite a number of videos about the infinite loop of an improve loop, control loop. In that control loop, we don't just check KPIs and not just results. One of the things we also check is, do we do our processes like we decided now, by the standard, with the correct ingredients, with correct settings? So do we do everything in what we have determined to be the most optimal way? Now, if we do a process control route, what you ask your managers to do is to go to some process somewhere. Doesn't even really have to be the shop floor. Basically, any process in the business can be checked, preferably by a manager who is at least one level higher. But you can cross-check also each other's departments, right? As a production manager, you would check production a bit more often. From time to time, go into another department. This is a group management task. You go to a process and talk with the person who is performing that process at the moment. Now, let's just take an easy example, which is the operator at the production line. And you check, are they performing the standard as it is standard? So are they actually doing the work? You also check, how is it going? Is performance going nicely? How is your day? Have a chat. During that chat, you do check, of course, what is the factual status of what is happening. And when you do a process confirmation route, you have to know what that standard is as well as possible, but you also let that colleague, that operator in our example, explain what they are doing. So if they have to do some product quality control at the line, you let them explain what they are doing, how that check has been going the last couple of shifts, they have any problem with either the product or the actual method of checking. And in this, you very nicely combine confirming that we work according to standards, but the way that you structure the conversation is that you also ask, as soon as something is not happening according to standard, you check, why? What is keeping you back? So how can we make it easier to work according to the standard, or maybe part of the work standard needs to be changed? And by doing this, and then you really need to guide the operator into that, right? So if you go to someone and you ask, hey, why are you not doing it like we agreed? That is generally not the way you open up the conversation. But if you put it more in the form of, what could help you to really do it according to the standard, or which things around here are keeping you back from doing this check every 20 minutes, questions like that, you will get to the root. You can also ask, whether other shifts are doing this correctly. For many people, it's easier to sort of open the book about somebody else than to sort of admit that they are not doing it. So that opens up the discussion, what is going on around it. And what you should really look out for are our favorite 4 puzzle pieces for change. And I hope you have already in your mind filled them, and I will put them in here in case you need a bit of a reminder. Can I do the work? So have I got the training, the competencies? Do I know what I am doing and how everything around it works so that I can fully do this process? This is really a skill and competency based puzzle piece. Have I got everything I need? So have I got the tools, the equipment ready? Have I got most of the structures? This can also be the software package, access to a computer terminal in a place where I do the work, so that all kinds of things like that. Might even be as far as, have I got the correct settings? That's a bit between can I do it and have I got it, but these are really the technical side of what you do. So competence and equipment, the tools to do the job. Then, do I see the work also around me? Do I see basically examples and leaders around me? Are my colleagues also following this standard? Is it normal that I follow the standard, or will they think that I am the boss's little good boy and just trying to get in their good favor, but all the other colleagues don't really do it? That really undermines adoption of new standards, or even working according to standards. Do I see my leaders, the formal and informal leaders in the department, do I see them following it? Do I see that they like it or ask about it? And here we come back to what I said a bit in the beginning, right? It is important to do the actual check. So if a production manager goes onto the shop floor and their direct managers are supervisors who are between the production manager and the shop floor employees, one of the things to really check also is, when did your supervisor last talk about this process with you? Or what do they check for performance and stock levels and the way of working? So check that this is done. And check if that operator, the one whose process you are confirming, if they understand why we work in such a way and why it's important to follow these standards. So do they want to work in this way? Now, we generally use this framework when we are changing a work standard, right? When we change a way of working, we are very keen on, can the people use the new way? Do they have the tools? Do they see the behavior around them? Do they understand and want to work in a new way? But this is important. Those 4 aspects, they are important at any stage, at any time, when we are talking about a work standard, a way of doing a process. So that part can really check can you do this? Do you have everything that you need to really do the task as per standard? And as soon as managers see any of these areas being so-y, then it becomes their job to go and fix that, to remove those obstacles. That is where managers can add a lot of value to the shop floor, to the flow of work and the standardization of work within the organization. Now, you have other jobs as well, but if you can make sure that the people in your department can do their jobs effectively, you are basically 80% golden as a manager. Right? So that is a super important thing to do. And the process confirmation really combines this checking, this policing of was it done, with a nice compliment. And if it's not so brilliant, also the what is keeping you back, making sure people can do the work per standard. Another thing with this process confirmation is the way you set it up. You don't just go onto the floor to check some things. How are you doing? What's keeping you back? This, by the way, from time to time, is a very good thing to do. Just walk around with a more open mind as a manager. But when you confirm the execution of a process, go there specifically with that process in mind. Make sure you catch a set number of processes with some frequency and with your whole management team, right? And that includes supervisors, managers from different departments. Make sure you check them and you share that info. And when you really go in, knowing that today I'm going to check this quality control at the line, everything's working wonderfully. We gave a compliment, really nice. Also, we communicate this within the management group and say, we've checked this quality control process at the line 12 times. All of those 12 times, it went very well. Great. Now we know that this is a stable process. But if you do sort of random rounds, then it's very difficult to get this check in. But okay, we're going pretty deep right now already into process confirmation. That is a super way to balance these two out. We also by this get to, as I said, supportive management. And I want to share one more concept with you, and that is the idea of the inverted pyramid. Also pretty popular. And that, I think, really, if you want to do that in a good way, it is about supporting, can you do this, and removing obstacles. So you of course know the typical hierarchy pyramid. You've got the boss and then a couple departments and a couple sub-departments and a lot of operators, which is basically a pyramid. So lots of people, the further we get down in the organization. But the idea of the reversed pyramid is, I mean, basically we are still doing the same, but the philosophy of support becomes important. So we've got the shop floor on top, the broad layer, and a general manager at the point of the pyramid, but it is supporting from the bottom. So each layer of management that you have in your organization, it actually supports what is traditionally seen as the lower lying management layer. They all make sure that we can give optimal support to the workflow. And this is a very interesting concept, because I think the strongest part that we can find in here is how do we support shift supervisors, basically this layer. That first layer of management, what I see a lot in companies is that we check them, we really police that layer on, are you making sure that your shop floor personnel is doing everything correctly? If no, go to them, tell them to police the shop floor teams more. So that is a wrong way of doing process confirmation or supporting the shop floor. If you go and check your operator mechanic, you see things are not going very well, so you're checking the shop floor and then you assist them by policing this layer, you have not gotten the picture. Because the main thing you have to do is support one layer up or down, but up from yourself. So the GM, but definitely also department heads, the production manager, the direct manager of the supervisors, their main job is to support this team so that they can give a lot of support to that team. Also in this first layer of management, of course, also got the maintenance team leader, the quality team leaders, the support departments around production, their specialists and team leaders, they are also in here. But as a department manager, as a, let's say, the plant leadership team, those type of managers, yes, you need to go to the shop floor, check what is needed. Do they have the skills and the tools and the leadership and the understanding to really do their jobs correctly and understand why? But if this is not the case, don't police the other management layers, but also assist them. Then we're getting really into supportive leadership. Each layer in the organization is supported by what is hierarchically one or two layers higher. So if you do a skip level meeting, a skip level check, and you get some remarks from 2-3 levels down in the hierarchy, make sure you support whatever is in between, because they also have the processes, like a team lead, a supervisor, a maintenance team lead. They also have their processes, and meetings are also processes that go a certain way. If they cannot really do it, or if they cannot do the process of removing obstacles, help them. Get them really through your organization, remove obstacles for them. Really important part to the question, what should a manager do? Mainly check that you do your job and that everyone does their job and gets performance, or check that everyone can perform their job. Now, it is a mix, in my opinion, and the mix leans slightly more to here, especially because of the supporting idea. Do not forget to also support the layers in between. So your direct reports, they need your support more than any other group of people in the company. But don't forget that they are both part of your scope and that you use it to either complement or check how you can do things better. And then make that happen within the organization. That is what a manager has to do. So I hope that you got some nice insights from this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button. Also, share it on LinkedIn, social media, within your group of friends and colleagues. I love it when people say that they like my videos. Comment down below. But I also really love it when you just share it. You have my permission to put this on LinkedIn and sort of make it your post. No, that is wonderful. This is made to be shared. If you have another question that you would like me to answer, please also drop me a comment. I am here to support you as well, right? Might not be your manager, but I love also getting this support in. Now, for now, I wish you the best of luck in your managing and supporting efforts. And as always, don't forget to enjoy the continuous improvement journey.